Let's continue further. In this part, let's find out about World Heritage Committee. Along with it, let's find out that how does a site or a place becomes a World Heritage Site? What are the steps involved? The World Heritage Committee. Today, the World Heritage Committee is the main group responsible for establishing which sites will be listed as the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it is the World Heritage Committee who decides that which sites or which places should be included in the list of UNESCO World Heritage Site. The committee meets once a year, so the meeting of the committee is held once in a year and consists of representatives from 21 state parties. State parties means 21 countries. So this World Heritage Committee constitutes of 21 representatives from various countries. Now, these representatives are elected for 6-year terms by the World Heritage Center's General Assembly. The state parties are then responsible. So once they become the representative of the World Heritage Committee, these state parties, or we would say the representatives of the various countries, are responsible for identifying and nominating new sites. So what is their responsibility? That they have to identify, they have to find out, they have to locate, and they have to nominate, they have to propose new sites within their territory. So whichever territory they come from, they have to nominate and identify new sites. And they have to place it before the committee so that it could be considered for inclusion on the World Heritage List. What is the World Heritage Committee responsible for? This is the question here. So the World Heritage Committee is responsible for establishing which sites will be listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Second question, what does the World Heritage Committee consist of? So the World Heritage Committee consists of representatives from 21 state parties that are elected for 6-year terms by World Heritage Center's General Assembly. Becoming a World Heritage Site. So how does a site or a place becomes a World Heritage Site? There are 5 steps in becoming a World Heritage Site. So it involves 5 steps. The first of which is for a country or state party to take an inventory of its significant cultural and natural sites. So the state party or the country takes an inventory. Inventory means a detailed list, makes a detailed list of important cultural and natural sites in their country. This is called tentative list. Now this list is called as tentative list, and it is important. This tentative list is very important because nominations to the World Heritage List will not be considered unless the nominated site was first included on the tentative list. So it is necessary for the nominated site for the World Heritage Site that it should be first included in the tentative list. Next, that is the second step, countries are then able to select sites from their tentative lists to be included on a nomination file. Then the countries, they shortlist, we would say, they select the sites from the tentative list, and then they include these selected ones in the nomination file. This is the second step. Now the third step is a review of the nomination file. Now then there is a review which is done of all the sites which have been nominated in the second step. And who does this review? By 2 advisory bodies consisting of the International Council on Monuments and Sites and the World Conservation Union. So these are the two advisory bodies who review all the nomination files, who then make recommendations to the World Heritage Committee. And it is this advisory committee who make recommendations. Then after going through the nomination files, they make recommendations, they make suggestions, they give their proposals to the World Heritage Committee. Then the fourth step, the World Heritage Committee meets once a year to review these recommendations and decide which sites will be added to the World Heritage list. So again, the World Heritage Committee, it reviews all these recommendations by these two advisory committees which are there. And finally, they which sites should be added to the World Heritage list. So here we have a question: who makes recommendations to the World Heritage Committee? So the two advisory bodies consisting of International Council on Monuments and Sites and the World Conservation Union make recommendations to the World Heritage Committee. The final step in becoming a World Heritage Site is determining whether or not a nominated site meets at least one of 10 selection criteria. So the final step, or we would say the fifth step for a site to become a World Heritage Site is whether it meets at least one of the 10 selection criteria. So there are 10 selection criteria. Criteria means fixed basis to judge. The rules which are fixed in order to judge whether a site can be included in the World Heritage Site list. If the site meets these criteria, if the site meets all the criteria, all the rules which are fixed to judge the site to be a World Heritage Site, it can then be inscribed. Inscribed is given over here to print, to write, or to engrave. Or we would say then be inscribed, then be selected on the World Heritage Site, can then be included on the World Heritage list. Once a site goes through this process and is chosen, it remains the property of the country on whose territory it sits. Okay, so once a site has become a World Heritage Site and it has been chosen to be a World Heritage Site, it remains the property of the country on whose region it is. Territory means region. For example, over here we have the image of Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is in India. So it remains the property of India, but it also becomes considered within the international community. But internationally also, people have responsibility towards this monument, Taj Mahal. Why? Just because it is a World Heritage Site. Now let's go to the next video and let's go ahead and find out more about World Heritage.